I want to welcome you to Pastor Blast. Today is Tuesday, July 2nd. Happy 4th of July to you and yours. It's remarkable. We're celebrating 248 years of the birth of the Republic, the great experiment in democracy, the government that's by the people, for the people, and of the people. Well, these are contentious times in our national politics with the presidential election coming, but also even in our local politics when you talk to school board members. Some say democracy is under threat. Others say we need to return to our roots the founding fathers intended. I'm never quite sure what someone means when they say that. I do think as citizens it's clear we have a responsibility to vote, to participate, because this is our nation, whether you're a Christian or not, and it's our future. We're in this together. As Christians, I think we need to pray for an orderly election, one of integrity minus the political violence. In my lifetime, Christians and churches have more and more become stakeholders in politics. When George W. Bush was president, there was a guy in my congregation who came to me and he said, "I want to take you to lunch." And he said he had a question about God and country. Well, when someone wants to take you to lunch, it's red flag, red flag. Well, sure enough, he asked me point blank why I wasn't a stronger supporter of President Bush and the Iraq War. And then he pulled out the Bible. Another red flag, right? And he read Romans 13, which says this: "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And those authorities that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority resists what God has appointed." So forth and so on. Well, I told my friend that Romans 13 needs to be contextualized. It really makes a difference about how you hear this. Roman power, the imperial cult, was absolute. And Paul is writing specifically to some small Christian congregations in Rome that are involved in protesting Roman taxation. And Paul's warning them, don't poke the imperial bear here. It isn't that Paul trusted the Romans, but he knew he had to get along. And the consequences, if they continued to protest, that God's church could well be crushed. Paul was really eminently practical about such issues. He tried to get along Rome best he could, and he really didn't challenge social hierarchy. He didn't push for women to have equality with men, as later readers criticize him for. Well, he maintains that stance because he knew that God's church, especially at this age, was fragile, and he was just trying to keep them safe and secure in this. You know, Romans 13, sadly, has been applied not only to governing authorities of nations, but also to churches and parents and so forth. Therefore, it's been used to justify horrific things like slavery, child abuse, Holocaust, and tyrannical rule. My friend didn't agree with my reasoning, but I will tell you, when Obama was elected, I sought him out and said I wanted to take him to lunch and I wanted to talk about Romans 13 this time. He said, no thanks. You know, patriotism is a good thing. It's the love of country. And as the church, I think it's totally right that we're thankful for the United States. I know I am. What a rich history. What resources and beauty we have. The freedom is just remarkable. And we are the land of opportunity. I know if you travel at all, you realize what a great gift God has given us to be stewards of and to enjoy. And while I love to follow politics, talk politics, even argue politics with my good friend Pastor Brent Emery, an eminent conservative, historically I think as a pastor and a Christian, it makes me nervous when the church gets too invested in politics and the pursuit of power that goes with that. I think my fear is that God becomes basically a prop, endorsement to justify a political agenda or a certain social issue. And historically, the church and the state, when they come together, the church loses. This is even true in the nation of Israel if you read the Old Testament. And I remember the great saying that Abraham Lincoln had. He had some leaders who were gathered with him at the White House during the Civil War, and they kept telling him, God is surely on our side, right? And Lincoln, in his wisdom, kind of reflected, and he says, you know, one only hopes that we are on God's side. Amen. Happy 4th of July.